think up till the age of 14, I always figured I was going to be a missionary. I'd run a bit in the family, I guess that's why. But I found my father's camera at some point, and I took a few photographs when I was about 16 or 17 of a local band called Solution that was in Holland. And they got published somehow, and I thought it was pretty easy to make photographs and get them published. And I loved music, that was my real love, I think. And photography came later, but it was just a way to get closer to what I loved, which was music. And I think the first picture that I took that got well known was a band called Steely Dan. It was published in Rolling Stone and then later on their greatest hits. And that was a session that lasted maybe 5 minutes. I was in a hotel lobby somewhere. But I think the fact that I was so rarely photographed made that picture quite special. I didn't think that was that special a photograph. My pictures always turn out very different than I think I set out to make them. And that's because I just, depend on the day I photographed, how people are that day. It's basically, having a conversation in a way. You never know where the conversation is going to. What I quite like is to go out and meet somebody for an hour, photograph just on my own, and come back with pictures. I did some pictures with Henry Rollins in Los Angeles. And there was somebody I wanted to photograph for over a year, and he faxed me, said he was in LA finally, because he was always traveling. And we did some pictures, and it was great fun. It's like having a cup of coffee with somebody.
You imagine when you're going to meet him that he's going to be very cool and difficult to talk to, but he's actually very easy man to get on with.
He takes 2 sugars in his coffee.
He has 2 sugars in his coffee.
Not that arty.
When I started in the mid-70s, people were not so keen on my photographs because there was a lot of imagery going around, like glitter rock and all those things. And I always wanted to have, the person behind the sort of mask. It's something I think people really want now, musicians, to be taken seriously. I'm not sure whether it's good or bad development. It's good for people who are real. I try to stick with people that I admire and I think have something that I can work with real characters. I guess reasonably be proud of probably Miles Davis because it's such a difficult shot to get.
Ice cream for Crow.
I'm proud of some shots I took in the early 80s with Beefheart and Bowie. Just because I really took risks in approaching those people and they let me get away with it for 5 minutes to a photograph, and I think they're really still very strong, and they also acknowledge this. And for me it was some of the first pictures that I really had in my mind and sort of came out. Lou Reed doesn't really like to have his photograph taken, but not a lot of other people, not a lot of people do, I think, and unless they're in control. Yeah, there were some moments I think that people walked out of my session, or I can't remember. I think Meatloaf did once, Duran Duran did. And I think there was a variety of reasons. Spandau Ballet never happened. It's all good news, basically, in the end, in the long run. I use quite a lot now Hasselblad, which only has 12 frames. So, which is irritating sometimes, because you're through it before you realize, but at the same time, I think it keeps the amount of film down that you use, and I think a lot of film doesn't necessarily mean good pictures. I still prefer discovering light rather than making light. I think I'm not very good at making light, but I'm quite good in using light that's there. I'm sure it's many people's idea to get Susie naked, but I suggested for the photograph, I suggested it to her. And it took about 7 days. I was 7 days with them in Japan, and on the last day, 8 in the morning, she said she was going to do it. And we stood in a little hotel room, and there was this terrible tension in the room. But she liked it afterwards. With Marianne Faithfull, I never met her. I saw her performing once, the night before I met her. And I thought it would be great to shoot her in black bra, because there was so much beauty in her, and there was something that suggested that I could, with a cigarette. But the next day I was of course too shy to mention it to her, and she said, how do you want to photograph me? And I said, well, something black, which is of course a very broad sort of thing in a way. But she said, I got this brilliant black bra and I would love you to photograph me in it. And I said, well, exactly what I had in mind, but didn't dare to ask you. So we did it, and it felt very natural, and I'm really happy with that photograph. Bono is and always has been a great influence. He's a real pushy sort of guy. Why don't we try this, why don't we try that? It's great, he's full of energy and always in for trying things. In a lot of aspects it would be really good for me to publish this book, even if it wouldn't have sold, it was really good still for me as a changing point. I changed subjects, I changed camera formats, I changed where I lived for a while, I changed I think the way I looked at things, and I started to use color. I never really liked color up till I actually tried to take it seriously. I like some of the things I've done, but I'm not sure yet where I am in color. It's different than my black and white in the sense that I think it shows less character. It's more graphic, and therefore I use it sometimes with models and other subjects than musicians. I wish I could do a lot more nudes with the people I photograph normally, musicians. But not in the way I think Madonna did. I think Madonna really killed it for herself as well. I think it's a really bad move to make that book. Michael's type is really into photography. He takes a lot of pictures himself. It's great because you feel you're on a good level to talk about photography, and people are willing to try things out because they know what photography can do. The whole thing was that we were going to go and do shots in the desert, which unfortunately we chose December to do this. It was really freezingly cold, and during the shooting I just happened to mention the Joshua tree, the Bono, which he really liked as a word, and he liked the tree too, and I showed it to him. So we found this one tree. It's very hard to find a single tree. There usually are areas full of them. But we happily found this one tree, and then Bono decided it should be the album title. With Achtung Baby, we of course tried to go the other way, because people said Joshua Tree for a sour-looking Irishman, and Achtung Baby, it's a bit of a different picture, but they haven't changed that much really, but they just kept a lot of characteristics, I guess, of themselves or ways they live. They kept it secret from photographs, and now they let it out a lot more. I'm not sure why Michael chose that picture, but I think it's just a brilliant image of a front cover. And it was just a star I found somewhere on a motel and photographed it. And then later they generated some computer images behind the star, and they made up a front cover image, which I first thought, what have they done? But I really, really like it. And inside it's very plain pictures almost of the band. They're candid sort of photographs, and that's exactly what they wanted, I guess. Bon Jovi, I thought it was a challenge to change the image, but I would have liked to have taken them a lot further. So there's a certain point where it just stops, you can't go further. I still think they look better in the picture I've taken than in the picture I've seen of them previously. No, with Violator, it's we just tried to find something that had something to do with the title, and it wasn't too obvious. So I thought, well, if you nail a flower down, that is a very unkind thing to do. So I painted this flower red and nailed it down on a piece of wood and photographed it, and I cut it into two pieces.
Anton's basically filming you, and there's a sound guy, and that's it, and the producer, and that's it. And so you can just get in the car and you go anywhere, and you look for scenes and places where you feel it'll work, and you just get out and film, and that's how filmmaking should be.
It's a nice sidestep. I don't see it as a step up from photography, because if I had to give up either photography or video, I would actually give up video. Before I decided to do a video, I just play the song a lot of times, and if that actually sparks off ideas for a video, I decide to do it. But usually the ideas are a bit, I guess, off the wall, but for me, it is playful, basically. With Headhunter for Front 242, I decided to use a big egg. I can't remember why I decided this. It doesn't really matter, you know, it's there, and it worked. The initial idea was to get Leonard Cohen in there, because he wrote the song. I think when Leonard Cohen heard he was going to play God, he sort of politely bowed out. So he made Ian into sort of God. The Joy Division video for Atmosphere has some imagery in that people think relates to Ku Klux Klan. And this of course is not the case. What I wanted to do is to show people, but anonymous, and this was for me one way to show anonymous people. And because it was after Ian, the singer, died, it had something, you know, an imagery of monks rather than anything Ku Klux Klan-like. Because it's called Atmosphere, you have a plus and a minus on the back of him, and a plus and minus always carry the photograph, so there's an atmosphere, electric atmosphere there. It's a video I made as a fan, really. You know, Joy Division for me was the reason to move to England. A lot of the songs of Depeche are about sex and also about religion these days, so I try to combine it a bit more. Strange Love is just about you know, meeting girls on the street, not street girls though. And Person of Jesus was about a brothel, you know, in a western town. I thought this guitar riff and the whole feeling was so country in a way. It took a lot of effort to get him to say yes, okay, try it. Because to walk with a deck chair dressed as a king, I don't think that appeals to a lot of people if they think they've written the best song in their life just now, and to visualize it like that. But at least they gave me the chance to try it.
Probably because we don't understand the script at all. No, his sort of explanation lasts about 20 seconds and sort of says, yeah, don't worry, it'll be all right, you know.
Have you come to raise the dead?
I must have been dying to do a YouTube video for years. For obvious reasons, because I did all that imagery on photographs and sleeves, and I couldn't get anywhere close to making a video. So I was absolutely delighted to be asked to do one, because I think it's a fantastic song. I have to say, it's my favorite YouTube song. And I worked with Bono out over the phone, this idea I had about one. It came partly from him. He really wanted to do it in Berlin because of the political situation. The two Germanys are one now. Then the car bits that came obviously from me. Then the man-woman bit came from me. And you know, 4 people in the band are one, but they're different. All those things, there's a lot of little things in there. Then after we shot it, I think they were a bit shocked by the strength of some visuals, especially the ones of themselves in drag. And they thought they could be taken out of context. So, you know, I'm not in their position. I guess they have a lot to lose if it get misunderstood more than I would have. So they made a decision that I wasn't so happy with initially, which was to not show it and make other videos for it.
The way forward is just find people who you trust and just let them do it and see what happens. And then fire them and start all over again. They
came around to liking my video the best in the end of those 3. At least that's what I